Welcome to Tales on Trails, where every story is a journey. Today's story, The Crow and the Pitcher. On a scorching hot summer day, when the sun blazed high in the cloudless sky, a thirsty crow was flying across a dry, barren landscape, searching desperately for water. The heat was unbearable, and the crow's throat was parched and dry. He had been flying for hours under the burning sun, and his wings were growing tired. Every pond he passed was dried up, every stream had disappeared, and every water source had vanished in the terrible drought. The poor crow's beak hung open as he panted with exhaustion and thirst. Just when he thought he couldn't fly another mile, he spotted something in the distance that gave him hope. The exhausted crow landed on the ground near an old stone well in an abandoned courtyard. There, sitting on the edge of the well, was a tall clay pitcher. The crow's heart leaped with joy and relief. "Water!" he croaked excitedly, hopping closer to examine his discovery. He peered over the rim of the pitcher and saw it. There was water inside. His salvation was right there before him. The crow could see the water glistening at the bottom of the pitcher, reflecting bright sunlight. After such a long and difficult search, he had finally found what he needed, or so he thought. The crow hopped up onto the rim of the pitcher, balancing carefully on the edge. He stretched his neck down as far as he could, trying to reach the water with his beak. But no matter how far he stretched, the water was too far down at the bottom of the narrow pitcher. His beak couldn't reach it. He cried again, stretching even further, nearly losing his balance. Still the water remained frustratingly out of reach. The crow felt his hope beginning to fade. So close, yet so far? He thought in despair. The water he needed so badly was right there in front of him, but he couldn't drink it. What was he going to do? The clever crow wasn't ready to give up. He tried tipping the pitcher over to spill the water out, but the heavy clay vessel was too large and wouldn't budge. He pushed it with his feet, pulled with his beak, but the pitcher remained firmly in place. Next, he tried flapping his wings and creating wind to blow the pitcher over, but that wouldn't work either. He even tried pecking at the pitcher, hoping to crack it open, but the clay was too thick and strong. Every failed attempt made the crow even more frustrated, but also more determined. There had to be a way. The sun continued to beat down mercilessly, making his thirst even more unbearable. Exhausted and discouraged, the crow sat down beside the pitcher to rest and think. As he looked around the courtyard, his sharp eyes noticed small pebbles and stones scattered all across the ground. Suddenly, a brilliant idea flashed into his mind. His eyes brightened with excitement and hope. "Wait," he thought, "I remember something. When you put objects into water, the water level rises." The crow's mind raced as he worked through his plan. "If I drop pebbles into the pitcher, one by one, the water will slowly rise higher and higher until it reaches the top where I can drink it." It was such a simple solution, yet so clever. Without wasting another moment, the crow hopped over to the nearest pebble. He picked it up carefully in his beak, carried it to the pitcher, and dropped it in. Plop! The pebble splashed into the water and sank to the bottom. The crow peered inside anxiously. The water had risen, but only by the tiniest amount, barely noticeable. One pebble wasn't nearly enough, but the crow wasn't discouraged. "I just need to keep going," he told himself with determination. He hopped to another pebble, picked it up, and dropped it into the pitcher. Plop, then another, plop, and then another, plop. Each pebble made the water rise just a little bit higher. The crow worked tirelessly under the hot sun, his determination never wavering. He hopped back and forth between the scattered pebbles and the pitcher, again and again and again. Pick up a pebble, carry it to the pitcher, drop it in. Pick up another pebble, carry it to the pitcher, drop it in. Over and over he repeated this action. His wings were tired, his feet were sore, and he was still desperately thirsty. But he refused to give up. Minutes passed, feeling like hours. The pile of pebbles slowly grew smaller as the bottom of the pitcher slowly filled up. After what seemed like an eternity of hard work, the crow began to notice a real difference. The water was definitely rising higher. The crow's efforts were paying off. With each pebble he dropped in, the water level rose more noticeably now. What had started as a seemingly impossible task was actually working. The crow felt a surge of energy and excitement. He worked even faster now, motivated by his visible progress. Just a little more. He encouraged himself. Keep going. The water that had once been far out of reach at the very bottom of the pitcher was now climbing steadily higher and higher up the sides. Other birds flying overhead might have given up long ago, but not this crow. His intelligence and persistence were about to be rewarded. Finally, after dropping in what must have been his 100th pebble, the crow looked into the pitcher and saw that the water had risen all the way up to the top. His plan had worked perfectly. With a cry of triumph and relief, the crow perched on the rim of the pitcher, dipped his beak into the cool, refreshing water, and drank deeply. The water was the most delicious thing he had ever tasted. Every sip was pure joy after all the hard work. He drank until his thirst was completely satisfied, feeling strength and energy return to his tired body. The clever crow had succeeded where others might have failed, all because he used his intelligence and never gave up. And so the crow flew away from the pitcher, refreshed and satisfied, continuing his journey across the sky. This ancient tale teaches us powerful lessons that are just as important today as they were thousands of years ago. First, it shows us that intelligence and creative thinking can help us solve problems that seem impossible at first. When brute force doesn't work, sometimes we need to use our minds. Second, it demonstrates the value of perseverance and patience. The crow didn't achieve this goal with just one or two pebbles. It took many trips and much effort, but he kept going until he succeeded. Third, it reminds us that big problems can often be solved through small, consistent actions. One pebble alone made almost no difference, but many pebbles together achieved the goal. When faced with difficult challenge in life, remember the clever crow. Think creatively, work persistently, and don't give up, because little by little, one step at a time, even the most challenging problems can be overcome. The end. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe for more tales every week. See you in the next trail.